But I am a North Dakota farm girl, so I got to come back home to the Midwest, and I teach in the field of nanoscience, our pre-engineering, manufacturing quality assurance, and physics. We're a 2-year college at NDSCS, really small. So when some of these people are talking about low enrollment because they only have 80 technicians in their program, yeah, we try and target 12 for a lot of our programs. And so it's a little bit different demographics. North Dakota is part of the United States. You know, it's not part of Canada, as we sometimes hear. And yeah, we are frequently the one state that people haven't been to. Oh, I've been to, is that Mount Rushmore? No, that's not us. So again, my name is Christy. My boss is here, Rick Hendrickson. His background is in electronics. He'll be talking about some of the sensors. And so what we'd like to kind of convey today, but also get feedback from you, is a concept to really engage and recruit female students. And so the title, Biomedical Platform, really requires that you have an open mind about the concept of using a platform to convey your technologies, okay? This is not Health Careers 101 at all. So, as we get underway, when you are trying to get a female interested in something, you could go to the world of dating. How well does that work? I mean, there are book after book after, I mean, there's books out there so that you can attract females, engage them in conversation. But what is one of the biggest factors in the marketing? In marketing, you need to know your customer, right? So we can be really geeking about our material, because, I mean, is anything better than electronics? All right, that is so cool. And look, the lights are blinking, and oh, this is exciting, and there's a capacitor and a resistor. You girls are gonna love this stuff. So if we look at different industries, and we look at what they actually are already driven to, we can find that in electrical and mechanical engineering, with all of the money we've been putting into this, we're graduating 13%. Hooray! You know, I mean, we have put a lot of money to create a diverse workforce, and that's our current number, 13%. But Georgia Tech launched a biomedical engineering freshman class. Over 400 students signed up for it, and half of them are females. Blew them away. What's the difference? Delineate those 2 degrees when you're applying for a job. Delineate those skills, delineate that mindset. How different was the core person that entered those programs? And I'd actually like to hear from you. Do you see differences between the mindset of a young girl going into either one of those engineering degrees? They're helping people, so mechanical engineers don't help people. They help cars. They make cars go faster. I mean, if you're a mechanical engineer out there, this is just killing you, right? I'm chemical, so, you know, I can...
I have to say my daughter is a mechanical engineer.
Okay, your daughter's a mechanical engineer.
And she is designing toys for handicapped kids.
And she's designing toys for handicapped kids.
Yes.
How many females see that as the career outcome when starting in mechanical engineering? Because they do help people. And there are so many industries. Make cars go faster. What about making cars go safer? You know, I mean, there's different, that's secondary. Okay, remember, take the testosterone, adjust the testosterone. Okay, girls like fast cars too. So, I mean, but really, the core of what we're going to be talking about today is that if you look at where our students are at, you really need to know your customer. And for this talk, we're specifically focusing on females because research shows that if you have systems that work for females, the gentleman will come along, okay? So in knowing your customers, the societal the societal connections, being very social in the process, giving them a chance to interact, the value of at least a 30-minute lunch at Pizza Hut can be extremely rewarding. Because yes, you're eating at the beginning, but it's just like our networking sessions. They need that additional time and that comfort to actually ask the question, so was that class hard? When you went to college, was it hard to like study at night? I mean, those types of questions do not just come in cold turkey. So making sure that you have very social activities spread throughout also, and then the hands-on engagement. Because ultimately, what we should be going after is just a very basic concept of having some fun. Okay, so let me go here. We're gonna turn up the volume, sorry. And we're streaming, so we want to make sure that this is coming across. And so you'll let me know, right, John?
Yep.
Okay.
Under what pretext did you lure her here?
I said, hey, want to come over and hang out?
Good. If you said something clever, she might have gotten suspicious.
Hey.
What's he doing here?
Okay, he wants to talk to you.
Well, I don't want to talk to him, and I'm pretty disappointed in you too. But we both know that won't last.
Sheldon, you're up.
Thank you. Amy, I'd like to apologize. Your accomplishment was impressive, and I'm proud of you.
We both know that's your koala face.
I told you.
Okay, look, he bought you this.
Jewelry? Seriously? Sheldon, you are the most shallow, self-centered person I have ever met. Do you really think that another transparently manipulated... Oh, it's a tiara! A tiara! I have a tiara! Put on me, 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 put on me.
You look beautiful.
Of course I do, I'm a princess and this is my tiara!
You're right, tiara was too much.
Okay. So the reason for showing that is having fun, and we call it our tiara twist. We're not giving you the message to placate to stereotypes and give every girl a pair of high heels, a princess crown, and a wand. That's not the message here. The message here is, what is your tiara twist that will connect with them on a personal level? What are they going to actually care about, where all of a sudden deep inside they're willing to let you know who they are and what they care about? Okay, so you might be geeking out about your one aspect, but can you give it a tiara twist where they will join you in geeking out? But you have to find what that connection is. So that's what we call it. We call it our tiara twist. And one platform that we use a great deal of information from is SCME, the Southwest Center for Microsystems Education. Matt is up here in the front. They have a lot of excellent curriculum and hands-on kits. Very good quality stuff. There is the ability to assess, with the pre and the post as to what they have learned. And so what we find is that when we use their kits, we will sometimes give them a tiara twist, and girls are so interested in microsystems. Who'd have thunk it? I mean, these girls are like wanting to learn more about the sensors. This information helps them understand the sensors, but we are giving them an application where they care about it. For example, lab on a chip. So with a lab on a chip, cantilevers to use detection of cancers. That means something. And then all of a sudden you start delving into the nanoscale. Okay, can we actually make these little diving boards small enough to fit on the width of your hair? Oh, okay. Really? Because you're going to be able to detect it from a drop of blood. Wait, what? They're delving in. Now, if you were to take the discussion of a cantilever, think back to how you guys learned about them. It's a physics class. It's oscillation. Okay, Matt's already asleep in the front row, right? It was part of some curriculum in a very sterile, this is what we're going to learn, these are the equations, here's our outcome. But what we have found when we did our twist of a lab on a chip and the ability to identify an unknown cancer that we put in a canister, it's marbles, but they had a table of knowns. They took so much time and cared about the accuracy of their data so that they could actually detect, was it brain cancer or breast cancer? Anytime that we had done that before the twist, even though we had talked about lab on a chip, most of our students were just like, yeah, it's close enough. I think my frequency is 2.4. But when it's the difference between those cancers, they really cared. Okay, so any feedback on maybe some experiments that you do in which you're maybe seeing in a different light quite yet? Because we're going to be bringing up some other ones too. Any comments or topics right now? Donna.
So, the one that I like to use is robotics. And Lego Mindstorms is sort of the gold standard in our education system.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of girls don't like Lego Mindstorms, but when you make it robots to the rescue, as Sci Girls did, and they program the robots with emotions, then they're totally interested in learning how to program a tilt and a yaw, because there's a purpose.
There's purpose. So I'm going to just quick recap on that for the streaming. Donna, you're from IWITS. And so the idea was using Lego Mindstorms, but with a purpose of a rescue mission with the Sci Girls.
Mindstorms that you use instead. Teach robotics.
Robotics through.
Teach robotics, in this case, literally programming real robots that would be used in a
Rescue mission. Okay. And so Sci Girls is also another fantastic tool that has really understood how to take a lot of different platforms but connect with the females. Yep, that's excellent.
Yes, I'm Katharina Charney Lawhorst, and I teach mechanical engineering at our 2-year college. And one of the classes that I teach is dynamics.
Dynamics.
So I'm looking at velocity and acceleration of bodies. So what I do when I start the class is I get the students into pairs, and I ask them to brainstorm anything at all, anything that they're passionate about, anything that they're interested in that moves.
Yes.
And as they think about that, then they've got these ideas in their mind of things that move. And then I say, well, look, we've been talking about these principles of motion. So how can we use this cool thing that you're talking about and demonstrate that these theoretical equations work? And then we use exploration and creativity and innovation, so the students are designing their own experiments.
So for the streaming, actually asking the students for examples and then using those examples as you continue on through it.
Tie to what they're passionate about.
And what they care about. And so with that, that's exactly what we're talking about. Even just asking them, hopefully you can have enough time with them. Sometimes with outreach sessions, you don't have a lot of time. But in a class, actually asking them and then using what they have said. Rick Hendrickson's going to talk a little bit about some of the extensions that we're doing then, because we are actually looking at working with our high schools and actually doing a coordinated program of study, all in the field of biomedical, in order to introduce the electronics, robotics, nanoscience, because kids in CTE, we only had, in the Grand Forks region, we had 14 kids in digital electronics. We had 5 kids in like a drafting class. There is a wait list for health careers. And so they're interested in something along those lines. So what we're kind of trying to do is get them to eat their vegetables by sneaking it in. And so our career in tech ed is, trying to help us formulate this, in which we actually have a biomedical coordinated program of study, and then they would actually see electronics in a new light and robotics in a new light. So Rick's going to talk about some of the electronics.
Thank you. Also a farm boy from Minnesota, though, on the other side of the river. Before I talk a little bit about the sensors, the whole topic kind of reminds me of a young lady, Elizabeth Holmes, who in Stanford at the age of 19 in about 2003, 2004, decided to drop out of college, her chemical engineering degree, drop out of college because she had this vision or this idea that, why does it take drawing 2 vials of blood, every time you go to the clinic, why does it take such that amount of blood to do routine tests? She had a vision that it could probably be done a lot faster with just a finger stick. And so she started a company back in 2004 at the age of 19, and it's like worth $10 billion today. It's amazing. But it's not that I'm advocating dropping out of college, but exploring your dreams is probably a big part of it. So to incorporate a little bit of electronics into the biomedical field, we were taking a look at some of the sensors and where that could lead us. So some of the sensors that we are going to incorporate is Betulino is a developmental board, which is used for physiological sensors. This board here, it's a breakaway board, so these little parts can come off. But what this board is not only is it connect to the sensors via Bluetooth, which is kind of cool, but it also has a full microcontroller on there. But what we have here is that the sensors on this device are for biometric data, which will record and take a look at some of the activities of the body. For instance, there is a electrodermal activity, EDA type sensor on here. And what this does is it gives a look at the sympathetic nervous system, which means that if somebody is when your body is in stress, maybe it starts to sweat or perspire. When people are starting to tell lies or something, they maybe get over anxious. And the electrodermal activity through a couple of sensors can maybe be developed as a sort of lie detector test. This is under development. We are still in the process of taking a look at a lot of these things. Also on here is an EMG, which is electromyography, which is controls, or the input is muscle activity. So if you are flexing muscles, this would be able to pick that up. And the idea is that maybe it could be used to control prosthetics, for instance, or maybe control a robotic arm just by flexing some muscles. Also on here is an ECG. And what's kind of cool about this too is that the probes would be connected directly onto this device. And these are typical pads that you would see in a doctor's office. This would also give heart activity. But what's kind of nice too is that this can all be worn under the shirt, and because it's Bluetooth activated, there's not a lot of, it'd be a lot easier in a classroom activity to, prepare it and then have it ready for the classroom. Also, there's an accelerometer on here, so if it is a device that is worn and can map also your physical activity, your motion, as well as what your heart rate is doing, also as a part of that. Also, we have a sensor here which is very simple. It is a sensor that is, once it is put onto the finger, it would be one that would pick up basic heart rate. So that would be an example. And what's also kind of cool is that any of these sensors can be incorporated in, it can be amplified, they can be put into some kind of a microcontroller, Arduino possibly, and then you can have it do, once you get it into the programmable state, you can program it. So I think the programming aspect of incorporating these sensors would get a lot of the students interested not only in electronics but amplifying signals. So that's our goal, is to incorporate some of these sensors into the electronic type applications. Yes, Matt.
What was the name of that coordinate system?
It's called Bitalino, Bitalino, Bitalino. I bought it from our favorite Spark Fund. Is kind of it's a .com. It's a excellent place to get all sorts of electronics gadgets out there, sensors and microcontrollers. And
What's the approximate cost?
this is I'd say $220. But it comes with software. It's an open source type software, which means that you can use it and abuse it and change it if you like. But it does have a lot of different sensors on it, and this is on a breakaway board, so it can be downsized quite a bit depending on which sensors you want to use. But it is. I'm going to have fun this year developing some experiments, playing in the lab. Isn't that what we like to do? Very good. Any other questions? Very good. Thank you.
So, not knowing electronics at all, one of the challenges for me was just when Rick and I are working together is to say, okay, so what can we do? Okay, what can we do? And we had tried bugs. You can put those bugs together, and then it can either run away from light or run towards light. So it's a soldering activity. And the girls really do like that. But we would find if a group of 20 of them are working on that, and maybe one or two aren't quite getting it, maybe there's some bad solder joints, they weren't really necessarily motivated to get it right. It's like, okay, well, my friends worked, okay, let's just go on. So we don't feel like we had the right twist. We hadn't found our true tiara twist with that. So now that's where we are challenging Rick to say, okay, let's go to the next level. Let's go down deeper into the biomedical. Let's do some of these, let's program with that. And so that's where we are trying to, do that self-reflection and really say, how can we take it to the next level? So we're really excited about the electronics, because electronics are everywhere, but our state has struggled. The Midwest region where we're in, electronics programs are closing. And we really only have, mainly just one high school that actually has a substantial number of students, almost all men. But otherwise, manufacturing needs them, but the kids aren't interested. So we're hoping to change the electronics up a little bit. Another thing that SCME has is something about the artificial retina. They have a background presentation on it, and it kind of surprises me how few kids know that we can actually help blind people see. I'm going to unmute it, and you can kind of hear, this is SCME and their presentation available on YouTube.
In the Argus 1, there were 16 electrodes, or 16 pixels, and it took the patients about 15 seconds to recognize objects using the retinal implant. In the Argus 2, there are 60 pixels, and the processing time was brought down to 2 to 3 seconds. Argus 2 had enough resolution for patients to see the edges of doors or the shape of a building. Argus 3 is being designed with more than 200 pixels, and Argus 4 is anticipated to have at least 1,000 pixels, if not more. The hope is that with 1,000 pixels, one might actually have facial recognition.
Okay, so that is a YouTube, and it's a presentation, and it gives some really good background information, and you always try and find videos, something that the students can, watch, listen to, pay attention to.
Video is processed by a small portable unit and transformed into instructions which are sent back to the glasses. These instructions are then transmitted wirelessly to the implant on the eye. The implant consists of a receiver and an array of electrodes. Instructions are received and corresponding signals sent to the array, which emits small pulses of electricity. These pulses stimulate the retina's remaining cells and are transmitted down the optic nerve, conveying visual information to the brain, which perceives patterns of light. Patients learn to interpret these visual patterns.
Okay, so you find some good videos and there's a presentation. How do you take it to the next level? What do you do? So what we've started doing is we've started dissecting eyeballs. And we have some along here today. So if time permits, you can come up and I will do the dissecting for you because we're not in a lab and I'm okay grossing you out, but if you don't want to get all stinky from them. But so what we have done is we've started with eye dissection. Now, what do you think we hear before we get started from some of the kids? Ew. Ew, that's cool. And what do we hear from older people? This isn't biology class. Why are we dissecting an eye? This isn't biology class. But we have to take those classroom walls, we have to break them down, and we have to be able to see all of our different disciplines through different lenses. And that's kind of what we're using then with that biomedical platform. So that'll be towards the end. So what we are seeing, we have some STEM outreach programs, and in comparing to traditional project-based learning, we are surveying students and trying to find out, are you interested in being an engineer? And are you interested in being a technician? Now, it's terrifying. Our data follows what the national numbers are. Less than 10% girls are actually interested in engineering, and it's about 30% for gentlemen. This is at the 6 through 12 grades. But when we ask them, are you interested in a technician-related career? And we didn't put any precursor on that. Only 3% of the females indicated any interest at all. Isn't that terrifying? I mean, does anyone else have numbers in which they have seen what the original interest in a technician career is? Now here's the challenge in North Dakota then, 3%, and that's in any of our technician careers, so all of our manufacturing careers are fighting for the same couple of girls. So, and the number of females that definitely say no, 63%. And so when we have been doing our different programs, we find that when we introduce nanoscience as a technician, when we have the electronics, we're starting to get that interest up to even 15% for females. So we actually view that as a huge home run. We're seeing a change in attitudes. Now we're actually trying to get and see if we can actually get the change in behavior, right? Where they actually would sign up for one of them. So in trying this out, we did a pilot project, just 2 classes. One is a thin film technology, but we are going to use biomems as our case study. So in learning about thin films and the processing, it's with biomems applications. And so we offered this to a university of engineering students, and we had 50% female enrollment, even though the distribution of females in that program is less than 20%. So they signed up for it. We then were approached by our high schools, and this was off sequence. We took our intro to nanoscience, and we just rebranded it biomedical technology. So they're learning nanoscience with biomedical applications. They're learning about interactions as for biocompatibility. So we just did that rebranding, and it was off the fall semester, spring semester. It was off sequence. We had 6 females sign up for it. without advertising. And so we know we're on to something. We have to do a high quality job making sure that they see the manufacturing careers while they are in these programs. And right now, our Project Lead the Way is really struggling. They are not able to get the females into it. And so some of the schools are opting for the Project Lead the Way bioscience track. But in talking with them, the bioscience track does not spend a lot of time in the manufacturing and in the engineering careers. It's more in the clinician and healthcare. So we're hoping that we can actually gain some traction within our state because we have small numbers, but we have a lot of room to grow. So with that, that's kind of what the basics were. If you guys want to come up afterwards, talk with us. Even talk about what your projects are, and if you kind of want to maybe either brainstorm with us or as a group about a tiara twist that you could possibly take, because I know your stuff is interesting to you. And so is there a way to actually get the girls also on board? So with that, are there any questions? You like the tiara twist?
Well, I would just like to say that Coon Rapids High School and Coon Rapids, Minnesota has a Project Lead the Way of biomedical science.
The Coon Rapids has Project Lead the Way of the bioscience. Yep, the bioscience track. Mm-hmm.
And they're only in the third year.
Okay.
The first year was that kids walk in at ninth grade and they see this body on the floor.
Yes.
And then they have to do a forensic analysis.
Mm-hmm.
The second year seems to be human body.
Mm-hmm.
And then the third year is this fall, and I don't know what there is, but I do know that they have 3 sections, and they got a national accreditation for Project Lead the Way.
Yes. And so with that biosciences track, I know I can't speak for them. So Project Lead the Way, the data on their engineering has never gotten the females in. And their 1/3 course was biomedical. But they couldn't find high school teachers qualified to teach it because it was heavy in the engineering. So they've taken it out and they made it bioengineering, so now it's more like biofuels and agriculture. So their options are electronics, construction, bioengineering, which is biofuels and ag. And how many females are signing up? Okay, right. The interest in that. So they took out the biomedical one, and now they have this biosciences track, and their biology teachers would be able to teach that. But now they're getting their diversity. But again, a lot of those careers at the end are more the clinician careers. And it kind of breaks my heart because it was a platform for our engineering.
I'm sorry I was a little late, so you might have said this in your intro. I was waiting for the elevator for 10 minutes.
Oh.
So it seems to me in the question that you asked, was do you consider technician, would you consider technician?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
We had very low positive responses there. And then you talked about a pilot study, so you're in a university undergrad program and now in a high school program, which seems to me that you're raising the awareness, because I wonder if by asking a question in that way, if the students just they don't have the awareness of what a technician is. And so we need to raise the awareness in these creative ways by saying, oh, like in my case, it's actually not nanoscience, it's about asking questions and being curious, and hey, that's nanoscience and that's chemistry. So it seems to me like that's what I heard, that there's needs to raise the awareness so that when you ask the question about being a technician, they would consider yes.
Yeah, you're exactly right. The awareness is just that poor. And
I'm sorry, and then you also said that the healthcare careers, there's a wait list, because I think for many people, like, they know what that is. They know what a PA is if they don't want to become a nurse, right? Or they know what a lactation consultant is if they don't want to become, something,
you're exactly right.
It's very interesting. I mean, I don't really have anything to offer other than that's kind of what I'm hearing about. It kind of makes me think when my nephew was little, he wanted to be an engineer because his dad is an engineer. And I said, oh, Patrick, well, what does an engineer do? And he drives a train.
Yeah.
He's like,
Yeah.
actually, your dad designs oil refineries, but
Yeah.
he could drive a train.
He could drive a train.
So awareness is like.
but you can also find that even in high school.
An engineer was someone who drives a train, and I kind of hear from what you're saying, they don't know what a technician is, but they know a healthcare career would let them work in the hospital.
Yes. And so they're taking a class where they already know what they know.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry. So I'm gonna Tom.
Yeah, well, this is an accidental tiara twist. I guess I'm not really sure. We did an event at Lansing Community College last year, which is only done a few times in the country so far. It's called Startup Weekend Maker Edition.
Oh. Mm-hmm.
And this is an event where when people pay to come, they're put on teams on a Friday night. They have to produce a product by Sunday night and pitch it to investors.
Mm-hmm.
It's a pretty intensive thing. And as you know, a lot of maker events tend to be kind of guy.
Yes.
Oh, we were 50% women. We
Great.
didn't even try. I think, and I don't have a good reason, I don't have I can't prove why, but I suspect it's because we didn't ask people to be makers. We asked them to be on a team that was going to do something.
The social interaction.
And I
Mm-hmm.
think that made a difference.
Yeah, Fargo has done those weekends too, and they actually on purpose formed female teams of high school girls trying to come up with that product at the end.
I had a question that kind of builds on what the woman in front here was asking, and it's about your question when you were asking the men and women if they were interested in the careers. Who was your target audience? That's kind of my first question. And the second question is, have you seen that you have a higher percentage of young women in high school physics classes in your region?
So so the two things, who was our target audience? That data came from our STEM outreach program. We have a project called You're Hired.
Right.
And so it was through that project that we were collecting that data. We see all students. If it's a small school, we see all students 7 through 12. It's a larger school, we see the entire sophomore class, for example. And so that's where the data was coming from. And it really, with the pre and the post, the awareness is that limited, bad, bleak. And so to me, the nice part is now I have the data to go to the other department chairs and say, they just don't even know. I mean, the don't know is a huge percent of that number. And then, I'm sorry, in your follow-up,
Do you see you're having increasing numbers of young women in physics?
okay. And so with the young women in physics, we actually see the larger numbers in the chemistry and the biology. Physics isn't required in our state, and we find that it is very dependent on that teacher in that school.
Thank you.
Because if that teacher had the reputation, then he can have, the distribution of the school.
Christy, I really love two things in your presentation that I just want to underscore. One is your description of the girls not really caring about getting it precisely.
The girl's not caring about getting it precisely.
Made it apply to if someone could see or not.
Yes.
And the reason behind that is because girls don't, and women in general, don't really care about features of technology. The research shows that. So if you don't have an applied context, as you pointed out, okay, well, my girlfriend got it, it doesn't really matter, I was close. Because they're not feeling compelled.
Yes.
And I think it's a really good descriptor, and then when you tied it to ability to see or not, then they want to get it exactly because there is
Yes.
a purpose for it, and that is a great example. The other thing that I really want to compliment you on is, what you're describing with the tiara twist is what I've been talking about in terms of how do we make this appealing to female learning style. But it's like another sort of nice prompter. Now, not all girls want to be princesses, but nonetheless, what can you focus on in your STEM area that will appeal to, helping others?
Yes.
What can you, and that's your tiara twist, which is a nice
Help.
shorthand, catchy way
Yes.
for people to think of it. And
I'm not going to wear a tiara. Okay, well, how can I twist you? Yeah.
so I think those are just great.
Well, thank you, especially with your experience. That's awesome. I'm going home happy today. With robotics, we have just a super nice guy, and he is he's one of those nice guys, and he's a little boring. You know the type? And so when we bring the girls in for a session on robotics, and he starts showing manufacturing videos with all these pick and places and how fast they go, and it can sort red and blue balls really fast. The girls were most interested in the fact that college boys were helping them one-on-one. Okay? So as far as the level of engagement, the girls were paying attention because there was a boy standing beside the robot. That didn't do it for me. I'm like, we need to tiara twist this, but we don't have a lot of time. What we did, this video just stopped him. And so it's gone viral, so you may have seen it.
7-year-old boy for some time now, born missing part of his arm, and the team that changed his life. The first thing he did with that arm left us speechless, and a certain superhero too. So tonight, Iron Man with that little man, our person of the week.
Have you guys seen this video before? It has gone
Video
viral.
out, Iron Man, Robert Downey Jr. opening the curtains, about to open some eyes.
We're looking for 912.
7-year-old Alex Craig from Florida, walking down the hallway of this Atlanta hotel, unaware of a big surprise waiting for him. We have reported on Alex for some time now, born with only part of his right arm. He never stopped him. Riding his bike, becoming a transformer, nothing could keep him from smiling, especially his little sister. Enter Albert Pinero, engineering student at the University of Central Florida, where he and a team of researchers were working on a way to create a 3D arm, a bionic arm, made from a printer. The camera right there when that first bionic arm arrived, picking up on electrical signals from Alex's brain. And one of the first things he did with his new arm was to hug his mom.
I lost it. I cried.
Already their superhero, he's about to meet another one.
Hey Alex, how are you? Pleasure to meet you. I have another bionics expert on hand, so I thought I'd drop by.
Thank you.
Yes, a pleasure. Nice bow tie, by the way.
Thanks.
That same smile we've seen before.
Ready?
Yep.
Great.
Each one looks the same.
Actually, I think yours might be better than mine. What do you say we both try them on, do a progress report?
Okay.
Before the gift, one last question.
You know who that is?
Iron Man.
Iron Man, both of them, put on those arms.
God, dude, it's even cooler than I thought. Oh, look at that, dude. It's a marriage of robotic technologies.
The average cost for parents buying a prosthetic limb, $40,000. This bionic arm built by student engineers, no more than $350.
We'll have a whole army of superheroes, right, that can go after chasing their dreams and trying to make the world a better place.
Hey, good job, Albert. Thank you, sir.
Job well done, and a new Iron Man just getting started.
Bang, nailed it.
Nailed it. And so we choose 7-year-old Alex and the team that built that arm, and Iron Man too. I'm David George.
So after showing that video, we showed that video at the beginning, and I convinced him not to show his manufacturing video of all the pick and place. The girls were different participants. So if I did this, okay, so if I can control that, so what you have to you need a signal from the brain. Okay, so then if I move, they were so into the interaction with the robots because now they were motivated. It was so powerful watching a group of young ladies come in and having seen previous groups of girls come in and the dynamics of it, it was a game changer. And so even though Iron Man, yes, it's a guy, that's okay. They know Iron Man. It's not a female superhero. We don't have many to choose from. And so, but they got it. So time is up. I really appreciate your time. I appreciate your feedback. But find in your area, find that person, it can be a man or a woman, that can help you find the tiara twist. Maybe admit that yes, you're good at what you do, but you need to find that person who can jack it up, make it fun. Highly recommend the biomedical platform because it is amazing. It's amazing what's happening out there, and you will definitely find them interested. I can guarantee it. And the gentleman followed along too. So that's what we have. Thanks for your time.